am pumped for this. Everyone in the audience, are we pumped? Total eclipse, huh? Pumped. No agenda, please. Sorry, we're going to do an agenda anyway. So as an agenda for the session today, we are going to start with 3 battles. And guys, these battles are very, very serious and strict. So no joking around, because I'm a very serious referee, chief referee officer over here. First, we're going to be having Vin versus the machine, aka Alan. Then we're going to have Tom versus the machine. And then finally, we're going to have a big group battle of the machine versus Tom and Vin. The kind of format of this today is that Vin and Tom will be doing their normal human prospecting, they're researching, writing their email. And while they're doing this, they're going to be sharing their screen so you can get insight into how they're actually writing the emails and the process that they're going through. And then the same scenario for Alan, aka the machine. Alan's going to share his screen on ChatGPT and show you the prompts that he's going to be using essentially to get the answers that he wants to get. So it's going to be really great insight into seeing what prompts can we use to get certain outcomes. And then Alan will also have an opportunity for 30 seconds to slightly tweak the email. I don't think it's completely fair just allowing ChatGPT to write it. So he's going to have 30 seconds, which I'm going to be timing, to make those final edits and make sure my stopwatch is up on time. Make those final edits. And then the important part at the end, we need the audience to vote at each section who wins the email battle, essentially. I'm going to check the questions and the chat. Cool. Right, before we get into this very, very serious battle webinar, we're going to go through some of our lovely sponsors here. So instead of just giving you a list of names of amazing companies and amazing tools that you can use, here are some free resources that the amazing sponsors have shared with you. So everything from Gong sharing President's Club Masterclass to Woodpecker sharing Nick's sales cadence. So you'll get access to all of these free resources after the Tactical TV show. So make sure you check out some of these things. I'm definitely going to be checking out the Demandbase 6 templates to accelerate deals. Needing that in my life right now. Are we ready? We pumped? I'm pumped.
Ready and pumped.
Let's go.
I'm going to give you the first scenario. Each prompt has a different prospect and a different solution that we're selling. So for the first one, we have CEO at Apple, Tim Cook, and we're going to be selling a privacy software for their product. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to let someone else share their screen to go through the process you will do to create a human prospecting email.
All right. So I'm up first for this one. And I was trying to think, like, Tim Cook probably gets tons and tons of emails per day. So definitely want to use my human touch to my advantage, whereas ChatGPT may have more access to like financial reporting and stuff like that. So here's you guys can see this okay? Yep. Here's my thought process here. So first thing I want to do is see if there was any recent breaches. So maybe we'll do Apple breach. So we might want to hop into this real quick.
People in the chat, what would you guys do in the chat as well? I'm interested to see like what other people would be researching when you're prospecting someone who is a senior.
Mind you guys, I sell Martex. This is like a whole new world to me. So I can see like the most recent one was in 2021, looks like. They had Pegasus spyware hack. It seems like it was a big one. So it hasn't happened in a while. So maybe we'll use that for our advantage. The other thing I might want to Google is, I don't know, Tim Cook is a pretty public guy. So let's see if there's any like hobbies we can do or something. I'm trying to think on the fly here. Cycling and hiking. Next thing I might go to YouTube. He probably isn't a ton of interviews. You guys can see all my fun YouTube videos that I watch, a lot of music. Tim Cook interview. Apple Pro change people engage with tech, talks new products, concerns. That's probably a decent one as well. I like GQ. Let's go to GQ. We're going to let that ad play on the back end so I can figure out what that is. So we have data breach in 2021. We have some hobbies of his as well. And let's see.
How many things would you usually add into your research when you're prospecting someone, Vin?
Well, I'm under the time constraints right now, so
I can see you sweating.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull like basically, I'm trying to go through like some sort of pain that they might experience, some sort of thing to grab his attention, which is why I'm trying to like Google hobbies and things like that, just to try to grab his attention. But really, I want to make sure that my value prop can solve the pain that he's experiencing. And so this video kind of breaks down some of his inspiration. So customer notes, national parks, that's the other thing. He likes hiking. So this is something I might use. He mentioned Yosemite. So I think I have some starting point for this email. So I think I'm going to start writing this.
What's your typical structure when you're writing an email? Do you have like a standard structure that you use for all of your emails?
Yeah, I try to follow like a 4-part structure. So like the first part would be like an observation. That observation could be something to grab their attention. It could be something that you've seen with your research. Then I like to go into a problem that I know they're experiencing. So whether that's based off the persona, based off the research that I found. The third piece would be the solution. So how our product solves for that solution. And then the last piece would be a CTA. And I'll kind of walk you guys through that. So I want to tie in that hiking because I want him to know this is coming from a person. ChatGPT, I don't know, can it do this? We'll find out.
I don't think so. I think from ChatGPT, it's like, well, maybe, but it's not as recent. I think it's up to 2021, essentially.
So he mentioned he likes to hike Yosemite in that video. Even though you've hiked Yosemite countless times, I'm sure you still pack a map. Why to?
This is tough as well. Like if I was researching Apple as an account, you would need more than 2-3 minutes to research an account like this. So doing it in this time constraint is also really tough as well. But I also follow this similar structure in regards to kind of observation, linking it to why the company. So why them, why now, and then linking to a call to action. So I have a very similar one. I'll be interesting to see how the structures changes when it goes to ChatGPT as well. Even though it's also so personable as well. Like you can sometimes tell when an email's been written by kind of like a bot. There's this formality towards it. So you can see just, I'm sure you still pack them out, even though, yeah, you can just see it's a lot more human. But we will see.
Making up a company called Lock Security. Lock Security protects Android breaches.
It's looking good, Vin.
Yeah, audience, what are we thinking about that CTA?
Struggling with the let's see. I wanted to do just one second. Let's just keep it simple.
Need better CTA.
And then Lavender actually, I think will already kind of said something where it's like PSs in the subject lines increase reply rates by 35% or something like that. So maybe we'll put in something like which of the national parks is your favorite?
Love it. Hey, Vin, one call out. I think you're just missing a verb in that first sentence. Like hiked or something.
Oh yeah, even though yep. Yeah.
Guys,
so
this is a serious battle. We can't help each other.
Yeah, so basically I tried to
first machine.
I basically try to use this first sentence just to make sure to let him know that this is not like an automation, that this is something that I've taken the time to write.
Can you break it down, like what you've done at each section? You mentioned about the structure that you're using. Can you break it down and kind of share? Yeah,
so they didn't have a recent data breach. The most recent one was in 2021. So I kind of went the route of like, we want to be preventative in that and like proactive. So I figured like, okay, what does hiking, how can I kind of relate this? He hikes Yosemite countless times. He mentioned in the video, he still might pack a map to prevent, and maybe I would even do this, prevent getting lost. And just like Apple, we still need to be able to prevent data breaches from happening, even though it hasn't happened since the big Pegasus breach. So it shows him that, one, I did my research. I know he enjoys Yosemite Park hikes. I know I'm like coming off as an expert on the topic because I know the last data breach didn't happen to the Pegasus breach. Maybe that seems like I know my stuff. And then I kind of wanted to show that we also kind of like proof of concept or credibility that we work with other smartphone providers like Android. And then my CTA is obviously interest-based call to action. You guys know interest-based call to actions are the highest performing CTAs versus like time closing. Are you available next Tuesday to meet? So I left it off interest-based CTA. And then I threw in that PS. And then for the subject line, I probably wouldn't use this, but let's just use Yosemite data breach maybe. I don't know. That's something I might use.
Audience, what do we think about capital versus non-capitalized subject lines? There's a little bit of a battle going towards people with this. Love no caps.
Yeah, we could do a little lowercase.
Yeah, you see, I'm a lowercase gal as well.
All right, I think that's it. I think I'm ready to submit this.
I think it's difficult as well, not just doing your research and writing live, but doing it for a company like Apple. I think if someone's actually targeting an enterprise company like Apple, you probably need a little bit more than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
What do you think, audience, so far?
58 words, so it falls within that like best practices of like 25 to 75 words. So try to keep it short.
Nice. Love it. Good luck, Alan. Good luck.
Cool. So what I'll do here first is actually talk everybody through the instructions and prompt that I created to put into ChatGPT. And then after that, I'll show y'all how that translates into an actual email. So let's do it. Cool. So just in the chat first, like how familiar is everybody with the tool? Like, have y'all played around with it much before, or what does that look like? Also, I'm seeing that I can't see the chat responses. So
yeah, I'm on the chat, still learning daily, super familiar. I would say that I also use it loads, but the thing I'm challenged with is knowing what prompts to use. So I was really excited. I think you're going to be sharing your prompts after this as well. So doesn't matter if we're new to ChatGPT, we're going to be getting these prompts after to help us write those prospecting emails in future. But
yeah, 100%. And so I think like it's a great call out. I think that the part about the thing with ChatGPT is you want to really be able to give it clear instructions. What do you want it to do? What do you not want it to do to really produce an outcome that you're really interested in? I think the areas of weakness is obvious, right? Like the human touch, like Vin being able to be really spontaneous, trying to figure out ways to, to put the words, the different references together into one email. That's something that ChatGPT isn't great at, but what it is good at is pumping out all different types of inspiration for you to begin your email. So then you can really tweak it at the end to create what you want. And so the instructions that I've created essentially are a few things. One is like, hey, the instructions, I want you write an email to X person. This is my company. This is what my company solves. And use these rules, right? Use conversational language. I know, Charlie, you're saying it comes off a bit robotic at times. And so I wanted to just let the bot know, hey, use something conversational as if we're having a one-on-one conversation. Use simple and direct language. Don't go over 100 words, and optimize for brevity. And things to not include are things like, hey, like boring and general problems such as time savings, or talking about features versus how you actually solve the problem, and asking for minute meetings or suggesting times. And one big one for me was not including marketing language, because one thing I found while using the tool was it would, you'd say, hey, just do something fun, right? Something that's exciting. And it would just read like an ad and completely didn't feel human at all. And so I was like, hey, you know what? Use marketing language. In terms of structure, right? Oh, go for it.
You write all of this in your prompt when you're using ChatGPT. So you add all of this in before writing an email. See, I think this is where a lot of people go wrong, is that they say, pretend you're this at this company and write me a prospecting email. So naturally, the response is quite robotic. So I see Vin slightly shaking because he's a bit nervous that he might lose this one now after seeing all these prompts.
No. So yeah, just definitely different approaches here. And yeah, I keep this prompt here up and ready, but areas that I do personalize are like, hey, like who are you writing this email to? And also towards the end too, I have a section where it's like, hey, reference this section to be an inspiration for the email. In terms of structure, I have it in 5 separate quote unquote paragraphs where you're greeting someone, 3 sentences mentioning a problem from, which I will add a customization to, 1 sentence explaining how you describe that problem, 1 sentence of a low friction ask, and then your signature. And even giving it some rules for the subject line as well. 1 to 4 words, don't stay on the subject, do phrases, not full sentences, and try to just pique the interest of the prospect. And so for this, did some prep, and this is what I filled in, right? Hey, write the email to Tim Cook, CEO of Apple. This is my company name securely, and the solution here is just from the prompt that we saw, which is privacy software for Apple's products. And the main thing that I did here to personalize and try to find a bit of an angle here, it was going through the 10K. And so does the audience know what the 10K is for public companies in the US? Get a lot of nods from the panelists.
Yeah, in the UK, it's called an annual report. I learned 10K when I thought 10K was the amount of distance you run. So when I first did SDR, everyone was like 10K, and I was like, sorry. Yeah, annual report.
Yeah. So
do we use them? Mm-hmm. Asking in the chat. Yes.
How are folks saying yes? Wow, okay. It's an old trick everybody knows about already. But with the 10K, right, oftentimes you can find little nuggets of gold to help you personalize. One thing mainly is around their risks and priorities. So something that they're focusing on to make sure that their company is reporting out to their shareholders what they're interested in resolving over the next year and what they're focused on. And so 1 paragraph I found, in the 10K, this is the Apple 10K, literally just Google Apple 10K from the 2022 report. And one thing I read when I was doing my research was, hey, like losses or unauthorized access to release of confidential information, including personal information, could subject a company to significant reputational, financial, legal, and operational consequences. So I was like, boom, that's something that they're focused on. Can I use that to try to pique their interest? So I included it. The way this will work is say, in the first paragraph talking about the problem, mention this problem from the 10K. And I said, hey, use this concept from the 10K. All I did was copy and paste over the actual information itself. And so what that looks like is, hey, write an email, exactly what I just showed y'all. And this is something that pumped out. So I'll copy and paste this over.
Do you do additional prompts after this, or is that just one thing enough to write an entire email, or do you tend to do additional prompts?
Yeah, so it really depends on like where you want it to be. One thing I like to spend my time on is actually improving the prompt itself, right? And so if I notice that I want something to be changed here in this email, for example, maybe the language isn't really how I want it to be, I would go back, edit the prompt itself to maybe do not include this or to include something else, and pump out another result so that I can do as little editing as possible at the very end. Just so I can create a good prompt that I like.
Cool.
Yeah,
Ooh.
cool. So let me copy this over. This is what I
you
said.
have a time limit after, so no cheating. I'm going to time you for exactly 30 seconds.
Yeah, so I'll read it out first. Hey, Tim, your recent 10K highlighted the challenges Apple face in ensuring absolute security against unauthorized access to confidential information. Despite the commendable efforts, the digital landscape is ever evolving and absolute security remains elusive. So Securely offers a tailored privacy solution designed to further bolster Apple's products against such vulnerabilities. Interested in a brief overview? Cool. So I'll paste it over. Find the right slide.
To everyone asking about the prompts, you'll get them after the show. So you can steal this and start writing some prospecting emails using ChatGPT. Ready? 30 seconds. Go.
Cool. So, Dan, and let's see. What are we thinking here?
Any help? Any help from the chat?
Information.
What do you think lavender would really use? Interesting.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I think are there things that y'all, the panelists, think that we can change? I'm not too upset with sort of the result that we have here. Again,
I think
it's clear,
generated so quickly. It's a pretty solid email
for our first round. Yeah, And I think like it's very clear, right? Like in terms of the ability to personalize and find about Tim's interest in Yosemite, right? Probably not going to be able to pull that out from the tool itself. But in terms of creating something that maybe you want to scale out to use for multiple sequences or things that you want, I think the use cases here are different, but also applicable for both sides.
Yeah, I love it. I think Lavender would say that the second sentence is too long, but your time is up. You're done. Right. Now I'm going to share my screen now, and we're going to just look at them side by side. We're going to have a quick second to have a look at them again. And guys, we need your votes, right? So we need everyone to vote whether Vin or the machine has won.
I feel like this is like American Idol right now. I'm like kind of nervous.
Love that energy. Oh,
Man.
Vun. There was a Vun in there as well.
Wow.
Vin, you feeling good?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm gonna sleep good tonight.
Yeah. Sounds like humans have won. The thing is, what's so valuable about this that everyone will get after is using the prompts and then adding together the human and the ChatGPT. The amount of emails you'll be able to write that are quick and human. It's pretty insane. So I think we have a clear winner here, Vin. Congratulations. Everyone give Vin a lovely round of applause. But the battle's not over. We're going to go into the next round, and I hope it's even more competitive. Alan, I hope you've taken away some learnings. Maybe use that 30 seconds a bit more effectively to add some human because
totally fair.
This audience is brutal. So we're going to go into the next scenario now. We have the prospect who is the CRO at Catalyst, and we are selling a calendar software to help book meetings faster. I'm ready for this. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to hand over to Tom to share your screen and share your research and your process to writing an email.
Cool. Just thumbs up. You got this. You can see it.
Perfect.
Okay, cool. I typically do three things when I think about research. The first is at the problem level. So I don't sell calendar software to help book meetings faster, typically. But what I might do if I was new to selling that is I might say, I want to just get like, in one sentence, what problem is Mark potentially facing as the CRO of Catalyst, which is a startup software company? So I might go to ChatGPT, or I might go to something and say, top priorities for CRO of startups, and I might try to see like, what are some things that, or I might even say for sales leader of startups, find the right structure for the team, leverage latest tech, keep your team learning, mentorships. What are the priorities of a sales leader? So if I worked at one of these companies, Chili Piper, Calendly, something like that, I probably know what some of these are. But I think Mark, as a sales leader, he wants to get the most out of his team, right? He wants everyone to hit quota. He wants people to be effective with time. That's probably where I'm going with this, is like book meetings faster, time is money type of thing. The second thing I go to, I could probably put that into a sentence somewhere. Second thing I'm going to go to is catalyst.io, their site. I'm also going to go to Catalyst.io news on Google and just see anything interesting. I go here, they got an investment in late May. That's not like super interesting to me. Okay, Mark got hired, cool. Nothing like really jumps out at me here. I'll go to their website. Okay, CEO announced something about an AI assistant. That's like maybe interesting. I go to the resources. Like what I'm looking for here is like, is there a trigger for why they might be investing in like sales technology? Like, are they growing their team? Is there anything that they're talking about where things need to get more efficient? Anything at all that's coming up here, like, getting ranked highly in G2. I don't know. That's like a B- find in research. It's not really going to break through to someone like Mark. I'll see really quick here. They announced AI capabilities. I wish I could put this into ChatGPT and have it summarize it for me. I'm just going to kind of skim. Okay.
Yeah, someone asked about how Alan was able to get the 10K report into it. And what's really great is that with ChatGPT, I do this quite a lot with my discovery calls as well, is you can just insert an article or even a company and ask them to tell you a bit more about who they sell, what they sell, any kind of top trends from this link as well. So really good way to kind of use ChatGPT to save time. But fortunately for you, Tom, you're banned from it for this competition. So it's not helpful for you.
Banned. Luckily, I know Mark is, this is a private company, so we can't go 10K. We can't do any of that cool stuff. Mark is an active guy. And I knew this going in, that Mark is active on LinkedIn. He's talking about what he does. He posts, most days on LinkedIn. So let me just like skim this first like 5-10 posts. People get hired to VP of positions. What I'm looking for is like, is he talking about anything with his team? Are they struggling with anything? Are they working on something? Is he training his AEs like to be quicker? Anything? New AE that had one of the best quarters in company history. What did they do? Casual confidence. Okay, that could be something. Bet on yourself, what you sell, enablement strategy. Okay. Outbound results that dropped. You put a poll up. Hot take, outbound results are way down. Okay, interesting. AEs who are winning right now, they're cold calling, they're booking meetings like an SDR, they're doing all these things. Okay, so that's all I need. I just need like one thing to break through to Mark. And so the way that I'm going to structure this email is I'm going to go, hey, Mark, I'm going to personalize that. I just like to write this out. I'm going to go my problem, my solution, maybe a bit of proof, call to action, sign off. And now it's going to just help me to kind of plug this in. So, hey, Mark, let's go to this post. I like this about AEs who are winning right now. He calls it the Apex AEs. That's kind of an interesting quote, or an interesting kind of like alliteration. So I might say like, hey, Mark, saw your post about, what Apex AEs are doing, at Catalyst. I might change that first sentence. Are doing at Catalyst to, perform at a high level. Again, that's a little bit long. I might come back and cut that. Curious. How does time management play into their effectiveness? Most sales leaders I speak with mention that the time to reach out to inbound leads, not the time, but like the speed greatly impacts their overall win rate. We're helping.
What's interesting about Mark as well is that he's worked at Outreach, so he's very well versed in a calendar tool as well. I don't know if I should be giving tips and help, but what I like to do is when I know that a company or a person has used the tool I'm selling or is in the same industry, I try not to talk too much about what I do. So after I speak speed to reach out, inbound leads, blah, 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 overall win rate. And back in brackets, usually I would put, but you already know that from working at Outreach, right? Make it a bit more kind of human and like, I'm not kind of teaching him how to suck eggs, essentially.
Can I steal that from you? Is that within the rules?
Yeah. I'm the chief referee officer. I guess I can do what I want here. I just wanted to highlight Cameron Taylor from the chat as well, mentioning that when a C-suite prospect has just joined, often there's articles about them as well. So if you actually just Google like Mark's name and Catalyst, chances are that there is an article which is talking about him joining and a quote that he's directly said as well. So great shout out, Cameron, as well. Like, it's absolutely gold to find an article where someone's physically said something about why they're joining that company and what they're trying to change as well. But I think when people are posting a lot on LinkedIn, like, I take pride in my posts. So if someone highlights one of my posts, I think I would like that more than company information.
Mm-hmm.
It's looking good so far.
So I want to put the word curious towards the end. And I want to say that I noticed that time management wasn't on your list. Most sales.
Nice.
Okay, so let me reread this. Hey, Mark, saw your post about what Apex AEs are doing at Catalyst to perform at a high level. Notice that time management wasn't on your list. Most sales leaders I speak with mention that the speed to reach out to inbound leads greatly impacts overall room rate, ... But you already know that from your time at Outreach. Curious how you are handling this right now. Curious, how are you handling? What do we think? How do we feel about this?
Vin, you can't say you love it. You're against the machine.
I think I wasn't checking my time, but I feel good about this one.
I think it's good. Something I do with ChatGPT as well, a tip for the audience, is when I write an email, I just paste it into ChatGPT and I'll say, make it shorter and make it more informal. And it'll take out the stuff that I don't need. What's interesting, and something I've been thinking about a lot recently, is just how every sales email kind of looks very similar. Saw your post, noticed that most sales leaders I speak to, curious how. There's quite a big trend with kind of the structure of prospecting email. So I would challenge everyone, if your like email structure is looking kind of similar to saw that, notice that, the common challenges we work with companies like, I would challenge you to try and maybe come up with a slightly different structure, because my only comment around this is that it kind of screams like salesperson to me. And it's the same with the ChatGPT ones. But it's difficult to do, right? Because these sales structures are ingrained in us today, but you can kind of identify a sales email from almost a mile away now. Is that just me, or are other people thinking about this?
You're not dissuading me. I'm sticking with my answer.
No, you're out of time anyway. It's just food for thought for the audience as well.
Right.
I've been writing templates recently, and they all sound so salesy. And I'm finding it really difficult to kind of break away from that salesy structure and create something that's a bit more human and authentic. Yeah, I like Cole's suggestion. Go on.
I will take over now. Let's go after this. So the chat has already seen sort of the prompts and everything. And so let me just share my screen here. So for Mark, again, a bit of a different setup here, but with Mark, there's no 10K. This is a private company. And so really what I'm trying to do here is peruse his LinkedIn to try to find something as well to personalize against. And so I was looking around, taking a look, and one of the things I really did was just focus on the main experience of his little post here. I think most people, when they talk about their experience here, it's just, this is the accomplishments that I made. Here are percentages of attainment that I had. But he actually had a pretty interesting little post talking about focusing on generating revenue from the customers rather than from new top of funnel. So I thought that was pretty interesting and wanted to use that for my personalization. And so with that, really just threw in the concept from his LinkedIn and asked ChatGPT to write a post, which came out with this. Hey, Mark, call your LinkedIn post, which Charlie just said, hey, don't do, but something we can discuss.
I do it as well. It's just food for thought. It's really difficult to like break away from that structure. I find myself doing it and then like slapping myself on the wrist, like, stop it. You just, yeah. Ingrained.
And what's interesting too is like, I think part of like every AE, right? Every rep has their own style. Like what I recognize that a lot of like enterprise reps, for example, are like so good with finding new customizations. Like honestly, I was reading Vin's email from that first one. I was like, damn, that's a pretty hectic, pretty good email. Like especially with all the personalization. Like my days at Pave, I found that I was actually really scalable sort of outreach motion, what I like to do is say, hey, like I like to find a format that works for me and focus a lot of my time on like finding the best accounts, or thinking about who to hit up in the accounts. And so it definitely like depends on your style here. I think transparently, I'm being a little bit defensive because ChatGPT is pumping out similar emails every time. And so we'll see what we can do to work with here. Hey, Mark, call your LinkedIn post, diving into revenue via customers rather than prospects and making their success the nucleus of every decision. It's a fresh and impactful perspective, especially from starting from the customer end of the funnel. Schedule-y, which is what I'm naming it, eliminates meeting booking distractions, letting you center even more around customer success. Intrigued to learn more? Cool.
Ooh.
Chat, what do you guys think?
Too formal.
Too formal, yeah, definitely.
I'm going to let you paste it into the PowerPoint or slides. And
Cool.
I'm going to time your 30 seconds after you posted it in to then add kind of, Alan's still got 30 seconds.
Cool. Let's do it.
Format. Ready, go.
Cool. Let's think, hey, Mark.
Such a good point from Charlie said. Oh, actually, I'm gonna let you finish writing it before I share this, but this is funny. 8 seconds.
No. I can post never any revenue rather than prospects making this social decision. Especially starting from Smarter funnel.
I'm gonna let you finish, but your time's up.
Cool. All right, let's just pause it there. I think this is 30 seconds. I'm realizing is a bit of a struggle in terms of figuring out how to.
It's really short amount of time.
It's very difficult. Yeah. I'm freezing up here, guys. But yeah, let's just. I'm happy to stick with what we have here.
Something funny that made me chuckle is that Charlie Bain said, neither of you used a calendar link in your email. If you're not using your technology, why should I? Burn.
That is a burn. That's a face palm.
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to put these two side by side, and then we're going to go for that all important vote, guys. Oh, what are we thinking? Who wins? Oh.
I almost feel like this the machine side doesn't really make sense. It's like very random. Like the LinkedIn post doesn't have to do with the value prop of scheduling.
Yeah, I think that's true. Personalization for personalization.
Totally fair, man.
Hey, do you know what?
Totally
I can't even figure out who's won. I'm gonna have to let definitely not Armand. I'm gonna have to let him call it in the chat because oh no, yeah, I am not sure on this one. Oh, yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm going to agree. And I think Tom, but do you know what? I think Tom's won, but slightly. I think if we kind of made this little first bit a bit more linking towards this one, then I actually prefer this structure. But yeah, add a calendar link. We're going to have to speed through this next, section because we have both humans versus the machine. I think maybe we do machine first and then we do one human. And then if we run out of time, then we're just doing another battle round, but hopefully not. I'm going to time you guys, so we have to be a bit quicker. But we've got the CFO at Adidas, and we're selling accounting software to streamline process.
Cool. So we actually have a bit of a surprise here coming from the 30 NPC side. And so we've collaborated with our friend Stefan, who's actually in the chat as well. So Stefan, if you want to say something in the chat real quick. One thing that we thought would be fun was actually creating our own little cold email bot that allows, and that we want to share with you guys at the end of this as well, so that you're able to really create your own cold emails using the 30 MPC bot as well. So let me share my screen to show you guys what this looks like.
I just hear that correctly, that we've created our own ChatGPT.
Yes, you have heard that.
Oh my God.
Cool. So we'll send this link into the chat for everyone to take a look at. But again, shout out Stefan here to working with us here. And so really what we're trying to do here, it's layered on top of ChatGPT, and we want to make this easier for y'all. So just to get a good start on your cold emails. And so let's have a look and see what that looks like. So reaching out to Ham Olmeyer, company over at Adidas, and he's a CFO. So my product, I'm Alan from 30 MPC. And for a dangerously specific problem we solve, so let me just think of one real quick, manual recording and reconciliation of financial transactions are time consuming and error prone.
Oh, cool.
And
yeah, John, spiceometer. I also love the spiceometer. Guys, how spicy would we be making this email? Professional or spicy? In the chat.
Yeah, maybe
all the spice
from quickly and accurately, something like that. And let's see what we do. So the solution here, accounting software to streamline processes. All right, so we have the spiceometer here. We got
everyone is wanting some spice.
Spicy. All right, great email. Let's see what this looks like. Cool, let's see. Hey, Harm, manually reporting and reconciling financial transactions is a thing of the past. 30 MPC, you can automate your accounting process, say goodbye to those time-consuming tasks, ready to make quicker and more accurate financial decisions. What do everyone think? We can generate another one if folks like that, or we want to stick with this and customize it. Let's see the chat, what everyone feels. Roll it again. Cool, let's roll it again.
Oh, wow, you do different ones. That's so cool. Also, sometimes, like, I don't think every email needs personalization. As long as it's relevant, it still ticks. Often my first email will be personalized, and the ones later in the cadence will just have more relevancy rather than personalization.
Cool.
They want to see the spiceometer at professional. So
if we move it over here, let's have a look. Hey, Harm, we understand that manual financial recording and reconciliations can be time-consuming error-prone process. Our accounting software streamlines it, allows decision makers like yourself to have immediate access to accurate financial data, interested in learning more about how we can help. Cool, let's move it back to the spicy. I'm seeing that folks like the first one.
Do you know what? I love emails when they say things like tired of spending hours manually. Like, I love this like emotive factor towards emails. It just makes you think like, oh, I am literally so tired of spending hours doing that. Love that.
Cool. All right, so chat, what do we think for something that we can start with here? All right. It's over.
Craig asked, why would someone read it if it wasn't personalized? It's a great question. Someone in the panel want to give their input? Personally, I don't think every email needs to be personalized. As long as it's relevant, it doesn't necessarily need to be personalized, right?
Cool. So things we're going to do. Oop, keep messing it up here. Let me move it over here to start working on.
I think
one thing I was looking at.
I think you guys also get the gist of Tom and Vin's process, which is great for them to show the research they do and then the structure as well. And you can see it's similar.
So I'm taking a page out of their textbooks and looking at some recent news articles just to get something to personalize it with, just to spice it up a little bit. Because I did see, in the chat, hey, it's a little bit too salesy, it's a little bit stiff. So let's see what we can do. And so it looks like he's just recently got an extension as the CFO, but he has been the company CFO for a very long time. Is there anything else? He's been there since the 90s, maybe something there. During your time. any harm.
So Sophia, question, if you do personalize, would you personalize the first or maybe later? Personally, I personalize the first one and then later on, but you can also A/B test things like that, whether personalization increases meetings or responses at the beginning versus the latter of the cadence or sequence. I'm just laughing at Tom's intro. But you can see it's a similar structure, to be honest. Like what's the 30 MPC bot called?
It's called horribly opposed, which is Armand's favorite thing to say in terms of his CTA. So maybe we can add that here too, at the very end.
Horribly opposed, I would argue, is actually generated a better email than ChatGPT. And you had to put less prompts into it. You guys could sell this. You're gonna get acquired soon by some kind of sales engagement platform. I've never heard the horribly opposed thing. Must be the first time. God, it's getting.
I also know nothing about accounting software either, so.
It's funny, they all start very similar, which is very interesting, seeing as 2 were written by humans and 1 by horribly opposed. It's pretty crazy. Right. I think the machine is finished. I'm going to share after you're done.
Cool.
Subject line. Tom, you're missing the subject line. Right. I'm not going to read it out to you because I'm actually really bad at reading. So I'm going to let everyone read it. Read 3. Yeah, I'm very bad at reading. I used to hate it at school when you'd have to be reading in class and someone would pick at you. I'd be just dripping with sweat. Actually, Tom, read out yours. Why would I suggest me reading out? Tom, you read out yours, then Vin, then the machine, and then we're going to come to a vote.
Okay. Subject is your values. Harm. After 25 years, I imagine the Adidas stripes run through your veins. I imagine it's challenging to follow your core values, to innovate and take financial ownership given the current economic and geopolitical conditions. We've helped Nike and Reebok to prevent massive financial headaches through ABC Open to a Chat. I just want to call out that those are 2 of Adidas's 6 core values for their business. That's why I called it your values.
I love the runs through your veins. It's kind of like, it's probably a really nice gift that you could send as a follow-up. All right, I don't know. Nice.
One thing, Reebok is, I'm pretty sure, owned by Adidas.
Okay, fair.
Well, maybe the subsid company doesn't have this financial software. Funny. I want to hear from the chat, like all the call to actions are pretty similar. Open to a chat, open to seeing how this works. Horribly opposed to checking it out. What do we think about these kind of call to actions? No comments. Fine. One thing I read about call to actions is one of the difficulties with getting replies is that people don't want to get involved in a sales cycle, and then replying is like, oh, I have to commit time. So one really great call to action that I really like is open to swap in a couple of messages, and you can decide if it's even worth a call. Just one that I've been seeing recently that I like. Vin, your turn to.
Definitely not my best email. I think we all just took the same thing. We looked on their LinkedIn. I was there for 25 years. So I started Harm over the 25 years you've been at Adidas. They're now in 10 different, you guys have 10 different brands in 160 countries. With all these difficulties, I can't even read. With all these different brands and currencies, this makes financial reporting extremely difficult. Inaccurate reporting can lead to upset investors and missed targets. Then I put the value prop, accounting.io works with other large retailers like Zara, another global brand, to provide accurate global financial reporting. Open to see how this works.
Strong. What do we think? Chat. And because I'm conscious of time, I'm going to let machine.
Cool. So I did put a subject line there, but it might have not loaded on your screen, but it says spreadsheet or software. Hey, Harm, with 30 plus years experience at Adidas, my guess is you're sick of sitting through hours of manually recording and reconciling financial transactions. 30 MPC streamlines these processes so you can focus on accessing financial data for quick and informed decision making, horribly opposed to checking out 30 MPC. I would say if it was my own feedback, I think it's a little bit too in the weeds for someone that's a CFO, but something that could be maybe useful for someone that's a little bit below the line for this example. But yeah.
One other thing that none of us did that I feel like we all could have done just looking back is if he's the CFO of a Fortune 500 company, he probably wouldn't take the call with us. So like who, trying to get a referral to someone else or swapping emails, like you said, Charlotte, would probably be a lot better. Like almost a 0% chance that he's open to a chat with me, regardless of what I'm selling.
Totally fair, man. Agreed.
Maybe like mentioning someone on this team.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Right. Time for all three. We need to vote. Someone said that I should do some kind of, for next time, a Q&A or a poll to vote, which I'll do next time. But I don't know how to do that right now. So actually, I'm just going to repeat and let everyone vote in the chat. And I'm just going to try and tally it up in regards to who do you think won? Tom, Vin, or the machine? No one.
Charlie.
Goodness. Machine, Tom, Vin, machine. Oh, Vom.
I like Vom.
Do you know what? I'm seeing a lot of, do you know what? I think the machine. I'm going to take like final reference. Like it looks a bit more mixed towards the end. But Alan, I think I agree with it not being high level enough for a CFO, someone of that seniority. But actually, it's a really banging email. Horribly opposed. How can I get my hands on it? When do I get my hands on it?
Yeah, so we're Armand's sharing the link for everyone to steal right now. We're also going to send the link to the tool in the follow-up email to everybody as well.
Along with all the other free content that you've got from all the sponsors. So you guys have a busy day ahead of you writing emails and looking at some of that fab content there as well. Amazing. But we're not over yet. I wanted to promote the next Tactical TV episode where we're going to have our man Josh Braun and Sam McKenna, who are going to be doing Wheel of Cold Call Objections. I think this is a huge topic right now. I think everyone knows that prospecting is so difficult right now in this market. So those who are picking up the phone are realizing that probably some of the objections you're getting are a little bit the samey. So join this if you're struggling to get over some of those objections on the phone. I have 4 minutes left. Any questions? I'm going to have a look in the chat and I'm going to have a look in the Q&A as well for another 2 minutes. Any of you guys are seeing from the chat, we can, how do we get the prompts? The prompts will be sent in the follow-up after.
I'm seeing some questions about your templates, Charlotte, to break away from typical email format.
You know what? It's so difficult to do. I'm working on it at the moment in the background. I'm working on creating some templates around moving away from that normal salesy structure. I started like looking into a lot of emails recently, and there's a big trend between them all. So I will share them. Maybe we'll do a 30 MPC podcast episode on this, maybe around like breaking away from that typical structure. Cool. Seeing if there's any last ones. Someone said about the call to actions again. Just a quick one on that. And I'd love to hear from Alan, Vin, and Tom on this as well. But something I find what is difficult around getting replies is that when someone responds to you, typically they're expected to be entered in a sales cycle. So they'll have to join a 15-minute discovery call, then do an hour demo, then get their boss involved potentially. And it becomes not just a time-consuming thing, but they could lose a lot of credibility if they've got their boss to take an hour out of their time to then look at a tool that's maybe not a good fit. So a call to action that I really like to use is open to swap in a couple of messages, and then you can decide if it's even worth to have a call, because then it's a low touch call to action. All you're asking for is a reply rather than time. I've been seeing this working well with our team.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to give everyone 2 minutes back of their time. Thanks so much for joining. Make sure we join the Wheel of Cold Call Objections, September 21st. Well done. Unfortunately, there's no winner. I kind of, I'm a bit of a meanie and I don't like everyone to win. I prefer to have one winner. But anyway, well done to all of you. And I can't wait to get my hands on Horribly Opposed and check that out tomorrow. Have a nice day and evening all.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.